All right, guys, today we're going to talk about lead generation. We have a special guest with us, and we're going to try to reframe lead generation and do a little bit of training before we get into an amazing paid lead option for you. If you know some of us on here, Walt and I specifically, we have not paid for leads. That's never been a strategy that we endorse or we talk about. But for what we're talking about today, it's a different approach, and we need to reframe what lead generation is and just turn it into having conversations and talking to people and showing up consistently. Tim's going to help us do that today. So what I'd like to do, I'd like to pass the mic over to Tim. Tim, please introduce yourself, who you are, where you are, a little bit of what you do, and then we're going to get into training, which is going to be kind of podcast style. And then we're going to actually show you a platform that is a little bit different. Tim, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Perfect. Thank you, Raymond. Appreciate it very much. Hopefully you can see my slide here. Okay, just to make sure we're good.
Thumbs up. Looking great.
So I've been in information services companies for the past 25 years, based in Orange County, California. I started and sold businesses in healthcare data, construction data, and rejoined some folks who started TheShareGroup last year. So TheShareGroup is a Omaha-based firm that has a partnership with Agent Impact Group, Raymond and Debbie. And our mission is to give you the highest return on investment possible for creating listings. So everybody wants to be a listing agent. We talked about the frustration of working with buyers. We know that the listing agent is in the driver's seat. So how can we get more listings without funneling money and waiting months and months and months until we finally get some ROI? I talked to an agent yesterday who spent $700 a month for 6 months on a platform and got no leads. If you bought leads as a realtor, you have bought bad leads. Hands in the air, amen? That's happened. So unfortunately, our backdrop is always to remove the fear of a bad list deal. So when Raymond talks about paid leads, these are the least expensive leads you can get because the value is all you. When you get leads from a Zillow or a Homes.com or Realtor.com, the value is the platform, and they get the money, and we know they're selling that leads to multiple spots. So it's not exclusive, it's expensive, and you have to put out a lot of money and wait to see if you can get an ROI. How about something that you could do in the next 2 weeks that would create listing opportunities completely on your effort, skill, and talent? That's what we're talking about today. So we'll talk a little bit about the types of leads, how to make the value you. I really related to the gentleman earlier who said, I don't have money for this. So if you have time and you want to be a success in this business, we're going to give you the shortest path at the lowest cost that leverages the resource you do have, which is time to create listings. All right. So the first part, we're going to chat a little bit about the interaction and the conversation so that you can win the appointment, win the listing, and get the outcome that you're looking for. The thing that I find most often is that we have this breadth of experience, this wealth of knowledge. We get asked a question, and we're so excited to educate the prospect on this topic from A to Z.
How to get leads.
Guys, mute yourself, whoever you are.
Thanks. By the time that we give them the answer that they're actually looking for, they may have lost interest, or we gave them a new fear that they didn't have. So the rule number one, the person who is asking the questions is leading the conversation. So when I listen to recorded sales calls by my team, I listen to see, are we asking the right questions and are we getting the answer so we get the outcome that we want? Clients do not know how to ask the right questions. I can assure you of this because you've heard all the bad questions. We'll talk about that a little bit. So we're not going to answer the questions that don't add value to the process because they don't know how to hire a realtor. Think about the questions you would ask with your knowledge if you were going to hire a realtor versus the ones that you hear. So our first job really is, can I sell you on how to make the decision so that I can lead you to the best decision? So I may not be the right lead provider for you, but I'm at least going to help you sharpen your questions so that the outcome that you want is the one that you get. We are looking for this outcome, but if the client comes with the strategy as opposed to a goal, they're in the driver's seat. So I want the client to have a goal to sell the home, my realtor client to have a goal, which could be, I want more listings. And then we're going to talk about how to get there. So let me use my talents and experience to help create that strategy. Because I need to prove to you it's in your best interest to trust me. And that's what you're trying to do day to day with your clients as well. So a quick side note on how this can go really wrong in a live case study that just happened to me. I work with 2 brokerage firms that manage money for me. And I thought to myself, this is really time consuming, 2 conversations, 2 outcomes, 2 strategies. If I could consolidate this, that would be great. So I went to each of them and I said, hey, broker A, I'm thinking about firing the other guy and giving you all the business. If I did that, what would you do? And I did the same thing with B. I said, I'm thinking about consolidating. I would give you the other assets. You would manage it and be the only firm that I work with. And they both bit. They both came in and said, here's what we would do. Here's what would happen. This would be great. This would be great. But before they did all the work, 40 pages of reports, 3 hours of presentations, before they did any of that, nobody said, Tim, this is an interesting exercise. You're thinking about firing one and firing one and just going with one instead of working with 2. What's your goal here? Because if they would have asked me what your goal was, I would have said, I don't like having 2 relationships. I don't like balancing. It's extra stress. It's extra time. And then they could have said, well, what if these 2 firms work closely together as a team and nobody gets fired and we still get the outcome? How would that be? Wow. I never thought about that. I only thought about that when I was creating this case study here for this slide presentation for training you. If we ask what the goal is, you may find that their strategy is way, way off. So a good interview will tell you all you need to know about the risk of working with the client. We're going to talk a little bit about who's going to win in sales today. It's the person who asks the best questions and listens, because time is wasted on risky deals. And tell you what a risky deal is. No transaction occurs. A buyer who never buys, a seller who never sells, but continues to chew up time and time because your resources don't have a value. And obviously I disagree with that statement. So we want to identify the risk in each transaction. We want to focus on the highest quality prospects. We want to achieve a higher rate of return on your time. At the end of the day, you should say, how many hours did I spend? How much money did I make? And always be driving that higher and higher. And that's only achievable if we work with the people who have the lowest risk. In other words, they've done 4 transactions in the past 16 years. Are they going to stop or are they going to continue doing more transactions? To understand that is to understand where you're courting risk and whether you're focusing on somebody that you can spend as much time and money on them as you want because they're going to transact sooner or later. Now, here's my first question to the group. I have 2 referrals. Somebody calls me now and says, I have 2 referrals. One buyer, Bill, is interviewing 3 agents. Would you like to interview for his listing? The other one is Carol. So Bill is 1, Carol is 2. We'll use chat here. Carol is a pal of mine. She's thinking about selling. Would you like to meet with her? Those are the 2 scenarios. Do you want 1 Bill or 2 Carol? Put it in the chat. I can't see it right now, but maybe Raymond, you can help me out on this.
Yeah, so we got Carol. Oh, somebody chose Bill. Carol.
We like Carol, but Carol is completely unqualified and uncommitted. And that may be a dead end. But I tell you what, Bill's going to list because Bill is interviewing agents. He has a process. Would you rather not compete for a transaction that is much, much more likely to occur or have a one-off? And Carol says, no, you're right. It's probably not the right time. So that's what I'm talking about risk. It seems like it's less risky to go and be the sole provider, the sole competitor, no competition. That sounds great, but less qualified.
But that, Tim, so let's talk about that for a minute, right?
Yeah.
Because the initial response is, well, that's a warm lead because it's a referral.
They're both referrals. Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, they're both referrals.
Okay.
All right. So I say no time is ever wasted working on these low risk clients, prospects, or leads. And high risk is they don't show up. You don't know who they are. They're not answering questions completely. They don't have a good motivation or a backstory. They don't have a timeline to work in. All of that, can be risky. So the person who works the most qualified prospects is definitely going to win. Now, I think I want to change how your clients view you, because right now they view you as I view the realtors I've worked with, as transactional people who are opportunistic around certain points in time in my life. Everybody get that? You are not relational. You're transactional and opportunistic. When I want to sell a home, boom, you're right there in front of me. Hey, how's it going? And until then, I don't hear from you, because no realtor has ever called me and said, wow, Tim, you know what? 5 years ago, you bought that home. I remember, and this is true, I remember how nervous your wife was about moving to a new neighborhood. Looking back on it, what do you think? Now, there are 2 answers. One is, best decision we ever made, kumbaya, you're the best. What's going on next? The other one is, I'm not sure. We might be moving. We're not getting everything out of it that we wanted. We're thinking about something different. So both of those are super positive outcomes, but we don't make that call. Or I sold your condo 6 months ago. Also true. I just like to follow up and ask, is there anything I could have done different or better that would have made it a better experience for you? How long do you see yourself in the current home? Can I call on you? Will you call on me when you're ready to sell, or can I follow up with you? All of those are great transitions from a person who is purely transactional to one who is relational and has the human interest around, did you get what you were looking for? How can I help you going forward? How can I be better? I had never been on those calls. I've done I think I had done 10 transactions in 20 years. That's a lot. I would be a good client. So here's what I want you to know. Every question from a buyer, seller, client, whatever you want to call it, is building a case of working with you or somebody else. There are no innocent questions. And so before we answer, we want to ask some clarifying questions to make certain that we get the outcome that we're looking for. Because remember, they don't know how to ask questions. They've met with the realtor. Number two, the first person that they interviewed for the job, they met with them, and now you're number two. And now they didn't know anything, and now they know something. They think they know how fast they can sell it. They think they know how much they can get for their home. And so they're going to ask you the question, hey, you think you can sell this in 30 days? If you bite on this, you might give the wrong answer. Maybe they just promised 30 days. Can you get $700,000 for this? So these questions come up. And we want to go, of course, I think that's fair. We want to say what we have to say to get the deal, and then we've lost all credibility. So I want you to maintain credibility so you have trust and you qualify before you answer these questions. And even the question about Wendy, I haven't met her. Have you worked with her before? Every one of these questions should have a follow-up question. I'm not sure that we can sell in 30 days. Is 30 days an important deadline for you? If we could get more, would you wait longer? How did you come up with 700,000? How does that number resonate for you? So we don't answer these questions till we really understand what the intent is, because they're trying to screen you out or qualify you as the person that they need. Do I need to stage it? Do I need to do repairs? Do I need to have an open house? All of these questions are like, well, he said, she said, we could sell it without you being compared on kind of a limited basis. And here's another one. Everybody has to answer this question. Why should I hire you? And if you start talking about your facts, your experience, your longevity, whether it's positive or negative, you're going to spin your best story of why they should hire you. And if you do that, you're already dead. Until you're qualified to answer these questions of why should we hire you, we don't really know what they're looking for. We're going to help you do that. So let's talk about this. Tell me about your best and worst home buying or selling experiences. And what did you like about it? And what didn't you like? Okay, I'm building my case for selling you now. What's the most important thing for us to accomplish in this transaction? What do you think is going to be the trickiest part of this? Well, I want to listen to that answer and go, I want to dig into something that nobody else is having a conversation around. They're going to be talking about the market and comps and the price and timing and interest rates. All of that stuff is background to whether I can find somebody who understands who I am, has my best interests, will give me the best advice, and put the best effort forward. I can believe that that will happen if we answer these, if we get these questions put on the table with our client and listen to the answers. Because my answer is going to be very different from yours if you say, I've sold X number of homes, my total volume is this, I'm ranked number this and this, I'm number 14 here, I'm number 2 in here, I've won these awards. It's really not important to me because that's kind of past tense. My answer is going to be, listen, here's what I've heard from you. Ray, you want to sell your home? I think I could do a great job. I think we would make a great team. I think we would make a great team. I repeat that because I want you to think about being as a partnership and being a team to get this done, because you need their cooperation and they certainly need your best effort. So what I've heard is you want daily communications on progress. You want to know ample lead time on this. You're okay with 1 or 2 open houses. You want to net out $600,000 of all fees and commissions. And do I have all that right? Am I missing anything? Is there anything that I should have considered that we haven't talked about already? If all that's true and I can deliver on that, is there any reason you wouldn't hire me today? I don't ask that question passively. Is there any reason you wouldn't hire me today? Is what is the objection you have that you haven't expressed to me yet? Is getting them to admit all of their concerns and the thing that they perceive as risk on the table so you can support and address that is super important. And the last thing is, have you ever been surprised that you thought you're going to get a listing and you don't? They go with somebody else because we don't ask that question. They say, well, I'm looking at one other person. I'm also looking at Joe Santa Maria. He's an awesome guy. I've heard of Joe. This is what do you like about Joe? What is he promising you? What do you think about working with him? How do you compare us? Just go right into the middle of it and say, if you had to make a decision today, what would it be and why? I think I would go with Joe because I like this. Okay, well, let's talk about this. We haven't addressed that. Put it right back on the table, get right back into it. I think the truth will always earn you trust, and be willing to tell them something that they don't want to hear but need to know that may not include them selling, buying anytime in the near future. So I want you to be aware of all the risks right now of buying this home. Sometimes it's not a great idea, but if you're okay with this, let's go do it together. And the way I say that is any other realtor would just jump at this listing and put a contract in front of you as soon as possible. But here's the thing I want to review with you. Here's my concern. Are you okay with, if this happens, how would you process that? How would that reflect on my performance if it took us longer than 30 days? Does that make sense? Are we hitting the right things, Ray?
Yep. Let's keep rolling. I love it. After this, we'll jump into the platform and then do Q&A. I love it. This is fantastic.
Okay, good. So if anybody has their toughest questions that they don't want to, like, you don't have the track record, you have to make whatever your strength is valuable, not a weakness, right? So you're working rural, you haven't been in the business very long, you've just gone from part-time to full-time, these sorts of things that are in the background. If there are any questions that you're afraid to hear in that interview appointment, let's put on the table and see if we can, solve for it together. Any questions on the chat?
Hey, I have a question. I'm sorry I'm not on camera. I'm kind of working on something at the moment. But yeah, I'm a newer realtor. Only been doing this since April. So having that credibility and, experience, that's definitely tough.
Yeah.
That's, because like, for example, I worked an open house over the weekend and someone asked, they grabbed my business card and they were like, well, tell me about yourself. And that kind of caught me off guard. And so I told them like the bare minimum. And then she was like, okay. And then she kind of walked away. But then when she walked away, I'm like, man, like no one has ever asked me that question before. And so being new, not having all the experience, that will drive some people away. But I want to be able to present myself confidently, although I don't have the experience, all the years of experience, I am still qualified to do this. So that is definitely a struggle, I would say.
Were you able to answer this question before they walked away?
In regard to the house, yeah, like, we were talking about the house, but more so not really, I don't know. I guess I didn't really know what to ask to gain the business,
Right. So in that situation, I would lead with, my name is Tim. I work with this brokerage. We are, we're one of the top firms in this market and happy to serve you. What brings you into the open house today? And how does this, and what are you looking for? What's your timetable? Where do you live right now? Just getting to know them as people will lower that wall that can be there and allow you to make a connection with that person. Because I would think that once they get to know you, what is your motivation? What's your intent? What's your heart about this business? That's more important than the experience. As long as you have somebody behind you, if you have a team behind you, if you have a good brand behind you, you can do all of the rest to make that relationship work, right?
Right.
So yeah, go ahead.
Tim, I want to jump in real quick. Jasmine, you have to remember something. Every real estate transaction has an average of 12 to 15 people in it. So even if you're a solo agent, you're never really alone. So to Tim's point, you need to leverage your team. You need to leverage your brokerage. You need to leverage the assets that you do have so you can show up. But everybody starts at zero. Everybody starts at day one. You don't have to ignore that, but there are different ways that you can answer that question so that it changes the perception of, hey, wait a minute, you just graduated med school and I'm your first, patient. Like, that's what we want to get away from, right? Like, you don't want to be the heart surgeon's first patient. And in that sense, it's perception. But I want to take this a step back real quick. If I go into any Facebook group or any real estate office or any real estate training and ask people what they want, it's leads. The problem is, for the most part, I can give the majority of agents 100 leads that are warm and qualified, but how many will actually be closed? We have confidence challenges. We have self-awareness challenges. We have communication challenges. There's so much more to lead generation, which is why we're doing this here today, because it's not just about leads. There's these components that have to work together. And guys, this is a people and partners business. That's all that it is. And the better we learn to communicate and the more confident we can show up and understand what our assets are as a human that just happens to be serving somebody in the real estate industry, the more deals we're going to close, the more transactions we're going to have, the better quality the leads are going to be because you're showing up to do something with them. So as we go through this next part, I just want everybody to keep that in mind. All right. Sorry, guys. I didn't hijack the mic. Tim, back to you.
I need your help, so thank you. All right. So let's talk about leads. The TheShareGroup, in partnership with the Asian Impact Group, is bringing together a way for you to acquire and download leads at 20 cents or less per lead. Let's talk about what a lead is and how it's built. So we have every U.S. homeowner. That's the names, addresses, emails, age, income. Oh, I jumped out of focus here. Age, income, mortgage information, property data, and all of that data is rebuilt and matched together every 90 days. Okay. So we have everything about the person, the property, and the mortgage in order to understand what would be their motivation for listing with you in the next 6 months. So what we present to you, I'm going to see if this will fix it, is the ability to see homeowners, phones, emails, property and mortgage information all on a map and to be able to download it super easy. So we have 25 million leads at a zip code level with their specific inferred motivation for selling a home in the database. So once they raise their hand, once they fill out a form, it's a $300 lead, it's a $500 lead through a platform. We're going to give you the names of the folks that you should contact before they fill out a form to create a relationship now. So when they are ready to list, they know who you are and they're interested in having that conversation with you. So those 25 million leads, which you can purchase and download, allows you to make calls. So the majority of our clients in a 3.5 hour period every day are making 500 dials on a 3-line dialer, 120 dials on a single line dialer. And they're having between 5 and 15 conversations per day, coming up with 3 to 4 leads, 1 lead per hour, where the conversation is, we're thinking about it. It depends on this. I need you to follow up with me. What's my home worth? All of those things where there is a 3 to 5 minute conversation and a follow-up that occurs. That is the fastest path with the least amount of cash required to start getting listings and having conversations with the right type of people in your neighborhood. So you can do direct mail, you can do text, understanding there are Telephone Consumer Protection Act requirements around this. And if you want to participate in that, we have the do not call numbers identified so you can suppress or include them depending upon how you want to work. You can upload these if you do any online ad targeting. We can give you the downsizers, the absentees, the likely to sell. All of these seller types are available for you to download and use in Facebook and online Google Ads targeting. And obviously, let's upload this into any CRM that we're working so that we can have a complete picture of all the prospects. Now let's talk quickly about the types of leads that are in, and then we'll jump in and show you a live map. Everybody's familiar with downsizers, hopefully. We know that they've been in their home for at least 15 years. There's no kids there. They own 80 or 90% or all of their homes, so very low debt. And they are sitting right on the edge going, when do we go to a smaller place, warmer climate, golf course, beach, a lake, something that they've always wanted to do? When are we going to entitle ourselves to have that retirement benefit that we wanted? Maybe even a second home, but the transaction is going to happen where they go, it's too much home, it's too much expense. We want to downsize and put that cash into the nest egg so we can continue to have a great retirement with lower costs, day to day. That's our number one most popular list. The second one is absentee. If you're not calling absentee, you're completely missing out. We know that these folks have homes that are either VRBO or rentals or second homes. It's not their primary residence. And they are ready to have a conversation with you about what's the right time for you to sell that home. We have a lot of folks in California who are exiting the VRBO business because they're getting outlawed or the expense is too high. Lots of things going on there, but there's VRBO owners here. The cool thing also about this absentee is if you buy 1 or 2 zip codes, you can sort this file by the owner. So the absentee list has the owner's name and address, city, state, zip, phone, email. That could be anywhere in the United States. So you're targeting Orlando. You pick a couple of zip codes. You get all of the homes in Orlando. You sort it by the owner. You can start finding people who own 2, 3, and 4 homes. Now, I said focus on the low risk, high potential prospects. And when you have 5, 6 homes, that's the person who's going to transact in the next 2 years for sure. And that conversation can happen with those folks. So absentee, super great conversation. We call them up and say, I'm calling about your property on Main Street in Orlando. Just wondering when you might be considering selling that. It is so easy to start the conversation because they're not emotionally connected. They don't have to move. They just have to say, yep, I want cash. It's time to go. Likely to sell. So these folks are going the other direction. They've been in their home 5 years. They have 50% equity or more. So how do you get to that much equity? You put cash down. And that cash you put down 3 to 5 years ago has appreciated through the value of the home. And now they're like, you know what? We're really conservative, but I think we could get a little bit bigger home. I think we could go to a nicer neighborhood. And we've been thinking about doing that as well. So likely to sell, third most popular. And then next is divorce. So these divorced and disrupted, I want to be clear that these are folks who've had their property assigned to one party after the divorce. So there are lead systems out there who are looking for people who are filing. We don't like that. I don't want to get a phone call if I'm in the middle of a divorce from a realtor. Don't want to do that. So what I do want to do is after Mr. or Mrs. is left in the home and it's gone from 2 people owning it to 1, and now's the time to go, do you see yourself in the home here for the long term? These are also changes in the title or the deed where it's gone from 2 people to 1. And so that transition means that it could be sold because it was just retitled. So we're going to follow up with that person about 18 months after the divorce. That's the right time to follow up with them after the filing and after it's completed. Finally is distress. Now, distress for us, these aren't rundown properties. There's distressed sellers that have beat up properties, and then there's homeowners that have low or no equity. So they've been in the home 3 to 5 years. They put very little money down. If they have disruption in income, if they have an unplanned expense that changes their economic outlook, they have a very, very thin safety net. And those are folks that if they're going to transact, it could come up very quickly and without much notice. All right. So now let's take a look at you want to take a look at the platform here, right?
Yep. Let's do it,
All
Tim.
right.
This is perfect.
Good. All right. I wanted to see my lead store. Here we go. Okay. So this is how it works. Can you share the link, Ray, Raymond, so that they can rate their account?
Yeah. Put in my zip code, 60091, Tim.
Right. Would you also like to share the registration link with everybody today?
Yeah, I'm doing that right here.
Perfect. Okay. So you're going to register. You fill out a short form. You'll get a confirmation code that's emailed to you. Then you come back in and sign in. It's going to say, would you share your location? If you share your location, then the map will zoom to right wherever you are in the United States. So this is our map. You can go anywhere in the United States and you can click on a zip code and you can see exactly what's available there. So Mr. Raymond's I used to live in Chicago, so this is a very nice area, I know that. But once I click on 60091, on the right-hand side, I can see that I have 6,486 homes in total, okay? So that's every home with a phone. So number 1 is we don't sell a record unless it has a phone. And number 2 is 30% of the records will have a second phone, 30% will have an email as well. So in order to make this purchase, let's just do some more shopping here. We can see the distress. If you forget what the lead type is, there's a description right here on the information. Here's a description of it. If I said, Tim sold me on absentee, I'd like to try that. We click on that box and we add leads to our cart. And here's the dynamic thing I want you to see. If you want to remove those on the do not call, you can see how the counts are updated in real time. So absentee goes from 333 down to 110. Most of our clients who are local and calling personally, not using robo-dialing, not using offshore, include the do not call because there is a ton of prospects there and there generally is not a negative outcome from calling locally. As a local realtor, calling local homeowners, I'm in your neighborhood, that generally goes over very, very well. And then you can take them off the list if they say they don't want to conversate with you. So this really couldn't be any easier. These would be the prices that you would pay, 20 cents a lead, if you just picked a list, add it to your cart, and go to checkout. I'd like to share this wallet feature with you first. The reason that we want to do that is because most of our clients will purchase a wallet, which puts a bank of leads into their account, okay? So here's how this works. If you're going to call 1,000, you're going to work 1,000 leads a month for the next 6 months, which is a fair number to work, and it's going to get you lots of listings. 6,000 leads, it's going to cost $960. Your price goes from 20 cents a lead down to 16. If you say, hey, I want to just dip my toe in the water, I want to try 1,500 leads, still go to the wallet, click buy now for $300. And then up here at the top, there'll be a wallet balance, which will show you having 1,500 leads. So you fund your wallet and you have 1 year to use these leads. And there are no recurring costs. There are no other costs. There are no subscription costs. So we just say, look downstream, get the best price based on how many leads you think you want to use in the next year. Only download the leads that you're going to call or mail in the next 30 days. So the reason that's important is because you don't need to have these leads sitting on your desktop getting old. We update our phones and our emails every week. So the leads that you're going to work, you want to go in and buy. And I know now it's gone back to my Southern California location, but same thing here. Click on absentee, add it to the cart, review my order, and then proceed to checkout. So step number 1, create your account. Step number 2, go into the lead store, look up your zip code, see how many leads are there, and then be realistic about how many phone calls are you going to make per week for the next 3 months. That sort of effort in cold calling is not easy. It's effective. It's not hard. It's harder than you'd like it to be, but it's also the fastest way to talk to sellers. So if you're willing to have 3 or 4 hours a day, you're going to start getting 2 listings a month. And for most folks, 2 listings a month is a dream outcome. If the average realtor income is less than $45,000 a year, how do we get you above that so you're way above average, because average sucks? Grab leads, make calls, have conversations. Grab leads, make calls, have conversations. And you'll be surprised at how far that effort will take you if you have the discipline to do that. Or you can, you can feed money into the internet and see if the lead generation companies give you the results that you're looking for. That's what works for our clients.
Love it, Tim. Thank you. I'm going to kill the screen share real quick here.
Sounds good.
And we can go into a couple things. Jackie, I see your hand up.
Yeah, Tim, that's amazing information. I appreciate that. I did have a question. How would you suggest agents determine what would be the best type of leads for them? So like between choosing, downsizing, absentee, whatever the category is, what would you say is a way to research what might be best where you live, or how that would be best for you? Like, any ideas?
Right. That's a super question. And that's why I give you a favorite list number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so I would start with the absentees and downsizers. But the cool thing about how we've structured this is, let's say you go buy 5,000 leads. You have 1 year to download those. If you know that the turnover rate by zip code can vary significantly. So if you look at the zip codes that you're in the market to work, and you look at their turnover rate, I can help you with that if you don't have access to that. I look at the turnover rate, and I look at the inventory available of leads, and then I want to download 500 downsizers, 500 absentee, 500 likely to sell, and test it out. You're going to find what works best for you. Because I talked to somebody yesterday who was like, I tried the distressed and I tried downsizers. I tried distress and absentee. I'm really liking the absentee. But I think you should try all 3 lead types, or at least 3 different lead types, experiment, and then go deep. Once you buy 500 leads, and that little pencil, you can take 1, 2, 300 leads. There's a little pencil on that order form that allows you to take less than all the leads in that zip code, which I recommend that you do. So if you have 500 absentees in a zip code, download 200 of them, call them, look at your results. If you like it, go back into the same zip code, download the remaining leads. We'll always keep track of the leads we've already sold to you so that you know which ones remain. Did that help?
Yeah. I mean, you're basically doing what Andrew tells us to do all the time, is like data. Analyze your data, analyze your results, what's working, what's not working, right? So it's kind of the same thing.
That is correct.
Yeah. Thanks.
So Tim, I want to do two things. Number one, I'm opening up a CSV file to show everybody what it looks like when you actually download them. But one of the things that I want to talk about is that if you are a new or newer agent and you have a tiny bit of cash to invest in some leads, for instance, if I was starting at zero right now, I would probably go to downsizers and absentees, buy those, download them, bring those into my CRM and start talking to people. I have an instant database where I can start nurturing, having conversations, and building rapport and showing up regularly. That doesn't mean I don't do anything else. That just helps me jumpstart what I'm trying to do in my business so I can do as much as possible with the time that I have allotted.
Perfect. I did want to see one thing else about that, and the phone quality is super important. We test and monitor that. We have our own callers working our leads for some of our clients. So we understand what the quality of the phone is. You're going to get about a 15% disconnect rate. And the way that we address that is any phones that don't work, and we can have a whole other section on keeping your phones clear so that they're not flagged or blocked, but any phones that don't work, we will replace. And the way we replace them is we go into your wallet, and if you say, I bought 1,000 leads and 100 of them had bad phones, I go, we got you, no problem. And I go into your wallet, I put 100 leads back into your funnel. So we want to make certain every lead that you get is one that works. You're never going to waste money here on a subscription where, oh, I paid for that, but I didn't use it last month. We don't like that scenario, and I think it's best for everybody.
I love it. Tim, I'm going to share my screen real quick with this Excel sheet. And this is just a sample, guys, but so you can see how the data pours out. Can I get a thumbs up from somebody if you can see my screen? Okay, awesome. So first name, middle initial, last name, address, city, state, zip code, phone type, email, exact age, home value, year built. You can see there's really clean data in here. So it's very easy to take this, save it as another CSV file, reformat it, and bring it into your CRM and map those fields. Awesome. Anything we should know about that?
That's all correct. You'll see if they're on the DNC, that's also in the output. And I saw in the chat about skip tracing. We have skip tracing in the store. In our Agent Impact group, there's a feature called Locate People. You can put in a name, an address, an email, or a phone, and you can skip trace one at a time. You can also take, the lates are coming. I saw that text there. You can also take a file on the lead enhancement. You can take a file of names and addresses and upload that, and then we'll add the information that we have on those records where it's available. So you pay with that using the same wallet credits that you use to download leads. So you can look up people, and you can also upload a file that has bad phones, no emails, and we'll append and enhance those records for you as well.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to stop my share. And guys, we have like 15 minutes left. Open Q&A. Let's have at it. Who has questions? Who has comments? What can we do to clarify and encourage you guys to take action? Jose, you're up, bud. Jose, go ahead and unmute. Yeah, perfect.
I assume that once we purchase a name, that nobody else has access to that.
Why? I'm going to practice what I preach. Why is that important?
Well, if there's another realtor on this call that is in my area and they buy and they want to, and I buy that lead, I don't want nobody else to have it.
Okay. And how often? I'll go any further than questions. Do you remember that cold call you got about window cleaning 2 weeks ago? No.
You're asking me?
Yes.
No.
Exactly. So it's a point in time. And are you better than the other person who called 2 weeks ago?
I am.
I think this falls under my category of what seems like a good question, but doesn't really have value. If it had value, we would build that in. We could suppress every record from ever being sold to another realtor. But the truth is, Jose, if you call them today and you connect with them, that's going to matter more than who they got a call from a week or two ago. Plus, given the size of our company and 25 million leads, the bumping in really doesn't happen. And that doesn't even include the other 800,000 agents who are doing cold calling from other systems. So it doesn't really provide value to suppress that from anybody else to work it, because we think you'll do something special.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right. Peter, you're up, bud.
Hey, how are you guys today? So I totally get it. That, you buy a bunch of leads and it's all in the numbers and calling and X amount of calls will yield X amount of hits. But as a person who's never done a listing before, and you're obviously, always trying to save as much money as you can, what is the lowest amount of leads you can buy? And obviously I get a hit on one of those, I'm all in. You see, because I'm going to have the flow to purchase more leads. So how does that work? Like, what's the lowest?
Yeah, great question. When you click on the lead store, if you click on the wallet, if you slide $300 is the short answer. $300, 1,500 leads.
So you can't do any lower than that. That's like your bottom line.
That is $300. That's the lowest amount that we do. That's correct.
And what does your yield look like for those 1,500 leads?
If you make 1,500 dials, you should have 1,000 leads. So our contact rate on our data from an ISA, from a domestic ISA, is 12%. That means a live pickup. So 12% on 1,500 is going to be about 175 live conversations. 10% of those should turn in leads at 17 leads. How does that sound?
Sounds great. If I can get all 17, it's fine. But then again,
yeah, I think 17 should turn into a couple of listing appointments in one listing. And we share that in the store. We say 1,500 leads, your cost per lead is 20 cents, and your average listings, if you work 1,500 leads, let's put it this way. This is super easy. Let's say 4% of those are going to transact in the next year, Peter. 4% of 1,500 is probably 60. Homes are going to sell out of those 1,500. And the cool thing is, we're showing you 25% of the homes in that zip code and ignoring 75%. They just moved in. They're not downsizers. They've been there 10 years, that sort of thing. So we want to put the odds in your favor by giving you the best homeowners to call in that zip code. That increases your odds, and then the highest quality phones we can find. Great question.
Yeah, thank you for the answer. I appreciate it.
You bet.
I love it. Delbert, you're up. Kathy, we're going in order of hands raised, so I'll come back to you. Delbert, go ahead, bud.
Yeah, so good. Good morning, everybody. I'm a financial loan consultant. Consultant mean I have people to save my real estate. Real estate is what I do. I have people save on interest, monthly rent, monthly notes, repair, installation, and other stuff also. I'll put my information in the chat. The chat when we and my business we every Monday even to the evening we have a presentation a Zoom that's named the business. And then just in case you are interested, just hit me up. That's all. I met this person self in the business to James.
Okay, thanks, Delbert. Sorry to cut you off, bud. We got to move on. We're going to run out of time with answers here. Terrell, you're up.
I was just wondering if you had access to 30, 60 day, 90-day lates.
Yes, not through the store, but we can do that.
An initial cost, I imagine.
Are we talking about tax delinquent?
No, we're talking mortgage rates.
No, I don't have those.
Okay.
Thanks, Terrell. Ravinder, you're up, bud.
Hi, Tim. So I remember you must have mentioned somewhere in the conversation, but once we buy the leads and it stays there with us for a year, what happens if the data changes or the status changes?
Great question. So that data deteriorates at like 1.5% to 2% a month. We don't recommend that anybody use a list that's more than a year old. So it's time to rebuy because there's new data, new homeowners, new contact information.
So giving an example, let's say if I buy a lead and down the road after 3 months, when I try to call them, they would say that they've already sold it or purchased it. Do I reach out to you guys and probably get the credit, or how does that work since I've already paid for the lead?
Yeah, so right, that's a lead that should be assigned that status in your database. So we present you the marketplace, and that's also another great reason to download the leads you're going to work monthly sequentially. But once they have a transaction or some outcome where they say we're never going to sell, I would put that in my CRM and make sure I don't call that phone number again.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Kathy Holmes, you're up. It's your turn finally.
Hi, Kathy.
Hold on, we got to unmute you.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So there's a monthly subscription for you guys, and we have to buy the lists.
There's 0 monthly subscription.
Correct. No surprise.
Okay. In the email that I got, am I on a different seminar? The email I got, I looked at pricing, and there was like a $6 and a $33 and a $66, depending upon if you wanted to do maps and stuff like that.
We have no idea what you're talking about. I'm glad you're here either way. Like, you're at the better.
Okay. So then how are you different? What are you offering that Remind? Are you familiar with Remind?
Right.
What are you offering that Remind does not have?
So the thing that we specialize in is we have that high phone quality guarantee, the motivated seller segments. So, and we're not providing any public information. So, and we don't offer a subscription. So we think those are key advantages. We also have a team that knows how to support our agents and help you find leads and work them. So I think Remind tends to skew more towards the investor audience. But if I took my own sales training class, I would say, why do you like Remind? Or do you?
I'm not, well, first of all, it's provided by my MLS. Second of all, you can go in and filter and get targeted lists. They do have an algorithm that says,
Like you to sell.
who's going to sell soon, you know? So, you know, as you filter down through, you then in the lists, there's no cost for them either. Then, of course, you make your own CSV files and you have to import them and you have to do all your own marketing and mailing, but we have to here too. And I'm just I need to print maps. That's what I need to be able to print maps. And I thought,
yeah, so
where I was at here.
Did you see on the file? So if Remind works for you and it costs nothing, full speed ahead. If you haven't called the file, you won't know what the results are. And I know what my results are. And we have lat long. So you could download as many leads as you want from us and put it into a Google Maps or any other mapping software that would be free. So you could see all of it on the map. And you can zoom down to a household level in our map as well. You just don't see the data on that home. Does that make sense? The data on the home doesn't show up on the map. So you have the file, which has all those. And you can also look at all your prospects at a street level in a mapping environment like Google Maps or anything like that.
Gotcha. Okay. What is the name of your company? Because again, I came in
The ShareGroup.
the ShareGroup. Okay.
Just grab the link in the chat, Kathy, and that'll direct you to everything you need.
Okay.
It doesn't cost anything to create an account. And then it's up to you if you want to purchase leads or not.
Okay.
At least you can poke around. All right, guys. Tim, this has been amazing. A couple things. Guys, any more questions before I pass the mic to Tim to give us one thing that we can take away from this training today?
Yeah, I have a question. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I just anyway, did you just say, Tim, you have people that can help us call our leads?
Oh, we do have ISAs. That's true.
Oh, okay. So how do we get that info?
Let me chat with Raymond on that and then we'll follow up. How's that sound?
Sure. Thank you.
And while you can create an account, Betty, this way you have your account. And
I did.
Okay.
I just did.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. So.
Oh, I do have another one. You do not sell buyer leads, right?
Not through the store. We don't sell buyer leads. That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Tim, what is, if somebody just walks away with one thing from this training today, what is that you would hope they would walk away from?
So I'm going to say the number one thing is when you're asked a question, pause and then clarify their question with a follow-up. I think that's the most important thing that we can do in sales today. We're asked that question. We want to jump and we want to compete and we want to respond and win. But I think the better tactic is to say, tell me more about what you know about Remind. Tell me more about what your experience has been with this and get the background and see if you can get them to trust you with their fear. And if they reveal to you what their fear is, they revealed everything and you have the path to go close them and create a great relationship with a new customer.
Yeah, I love it. Tim, this has been fantastic. Guys, one of the reasons we invited Tim on is because the quality of what he's doing and the affordability with what he's doing and the categories to support you guys, I haven't seen anything like it. I think it's unparalleled. Tim, thanks for joining us today. This has been amazing.
Thank you. I have one more for Kathy. Kathy, have you met the CEO of Remind? Has he worked with you personally to help you build your business? No, this just happened for you. All right. Give me a smile. All right. Thank you.
All right. I love it. Tiffany, I see your hand up. We'll grab your question and then we'll wrap it up.
Yes. Hi, Tim. So I loved your presentation. For me, I am a new agent as well. I've been in business for 1 year. And the biggest thing I had was compounding, like putting all the information together, all the numbers together, my list of who I wanted to call. And I feel like your program had nailed everything that I was looking for to keep me flowing with calling people and having everything together in one. So I'm very grateful that you did this presentation today.
Well, that's so sweet of you. Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure.
Thanks, Tiffany. Appreciate the kind words.
That's the closer we needed right there. That was better.
That's it. That's it. Guys, we'll get this processed and there will be a replay on YouTube where you'll also be able to grab the link. And then, of course, message Debbie or Jackie or I with any questions.
Hey, you want to just talk to people about saving the chat?
I don't have your YouTube. I'm sorry. What is your, I didn't sign up for the YouTube.
Eddie, I'll message it to you.
Okay, wonderful.
All right. I will go ahead and save the chat and then I'm going to upload it here. Guys, if you are on a laptop, PC or something to save the chat, in the chat it says virtual coffee. Go to the 3 dots next to it. Hit save chat and you'll save all of the data. Otherwise, I'm going to upload a text file that you guys can just grab.
Thank you very much. It was very helpful.
Good. Glad to hear that. That's fantastic.
Okay, everyone. So we're going to have Bray's going to work on the recording to make it available, the replay. And then if you have your chat, I don't know if Danny is on the call today, but if anybody can't save the chat, just put your name in the chat and we will have Danny send it to you. I do want to say a couple of reminders. So again, invite your friends, other colleagues to the virtual coffees every Thursday at 10 Eastern Standard Time. We always try to provide you with amazing information and guest speakers to help you be the best agents that you can be. I also want to remind everyone that we also have a brokerage breakdown call tomorrow at 11 Eastern Time. If anybody's interested in that, you can check it out on the Facebook group featured post. And then I'm going to do a plug for myself for the Mindset Monday, because we're doing a book club there that's going to help everyone with mindset and going into all of these things, leads, phone calls, listing appointments, buyer consultations. What's really important is that you have the correct mindset to work from. So if anybody wants to be interested in that and wants to join us, that's going to be Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard every single Monday. And that is also in the featured post. So Ray, Debbie, I'll speak for Debbie even though she's not here, Tim, Andrew, Walt, everybody from the team. We all hope you have an amazing, productive week and a great weekend. And we will see you next week on the virtual coffee. Thanks, everyone.
Go get it, guys. Take care. Bye.